Hi, I'm Tracy Williams, and our guest today on Talk PR is Alan Snyder, founder of aShareX, the first and only auction marketplace for fractional ownership of high value assets like art, fancy cars. It's kind of own a piece of a masterpiece. Alan has done it all. He led publicly traded finance companies, and during the dot-com boom, he created Answer Financial, the online consumer insurance platform, which companies bid for insurance policies while you wait. It was the first and is today the largest. So thanks for giving us this time, Alan.
Thank you for having me.
What was it that made you decide another startup?
A brief bit of total insanity. It's like sticking your finger in a wall socket and saying drain energy. But the passion was, I think we've created something very special, and it democratizes ownership of high value assets. And after having been in the art business for some time as a lender, it seemed that it was a game only for billionaires. That's crummy. Let's open it up to everybody. Whether you want to bid for a fractional share of a Picasso or an office building or 100%, open it up. Allow people for the first time to participate in otherwise unattainable assets that have been reserved for billionaires. Give people a chance to diversify in uncorrelated assets. Give people liquidity and control over that asset and their money that is not typically available today.
So who decides when to sell and what to sell for? And what is the opportunity? What is the financial return or opportunity for investors?
Here's the thing. Typically for an investor, they're told, well, this asset, Alan, is worth $100 million, this office building. An investor scratches their head and says, well, how do I know that for sure? And we said, why not do something incredible? Give people market-based pricing at the point that they decide to invest. And that's through this unique patent pending, 4 patents, in fact, on this auction system, giving people a chance to get market-based pricing, not somebody saying, Tracy, trust me, this asset is worth $100 million. Now the market determines the price, and a bidder can decide to buy the whole bloody thing or a piece of it. Second, and this is also atypical, give people, instead of a limited partnership interest, instead of some share, give them an SEC qualified securities offering. So it's been through the SEC with a detailed, oh my goodness, detailed offering circular that the SEC has reviewed. So give them a common stock if the fractional bidders are the winners. Give that to them to evidence their ownership. Third, most deals, the investors give away their money, and some money manager says, Alan, you're too dumb to know when to sell this asset. And don't worry, I have your best interest at heart. Don't worry about that 1.5% to 2% management fee I'm charging you every year until I decide to sell it. And we said, give that power to the investor. Let the investor, if they decide the secondary market for their shares is trading lower than the net asset value of that office building, give them the power by a simple majority vote to sell that office building.
I'm trying to understand, especially for real estate and certain assets, typically you would have comps on other buildings. So it kind of takes that element out of it. There's no brokers, one. And two, by having an SEC security, does that mean you're not going to have typical litigation?
Not the litigation so much as you're having the asset that is priced in the marketplace. Yes, there are comparable examples of whatever that office building is. That still exists. But now you have a snapshot at the time you invest of what that market value is, because it fluctuates. Now let's have a real price discovery. That's on the front end. Now the SEC reviews offering memoranda and make sure that there's adequate disclosure of the risks, of the opportunities, of everything. Now, that's what we had to go through in building aShareX, and we've done it.
And again, there's nothing else like this out there in the marketplace, correct? You're the first and only at the moment.
At the moment, it is totally unique. You know, the 4 patents we filed, oh my gosh, 250 pages of light reading. I guess that the key thing, having grown up in my case on Wall Street, this is a full-on trading system where you can have pre-bidding before the auction opens. That's pretty neat. 2, you can have a market bid at whatever the price is in that part of the auction, or you can have a limit order. Imagine maybe you're too busy to go to the auction when it happens. So you say, all right, put in $25,000 for me up to, let's say, 5 million, and let the computer enter that order for me. And if it goes above 5 million, I'm out. Fair enough. So that's what we've built. And it's not just the auction system. This is the whole enchilada. We actually help bidders. We onboard them. We run a credit check because we want to be sure that they're going to pay and that they have the financial wherewithal to do that. Okay, so that was another integration. We integrated 14 different service providers, a broker-dealer to issue the shares, a broker-dealer for the secondary trading, what's called an ATS, an alternative trading system. Got to protect investors. You owe an extreme duty of care to investors. So you have a cash custodian, which includes a bank. You have a transfer agent, all FINRA approved, to keep track of the shares. Then, after the auction happens, people pay their money using ACH, using a check, using Plaid, whatever, and we then issue the shares and take care of the rest of the transaction.
One of the questions I heard from people, and I'm sure you've gotten this a lot, is what, they never get to hold something. What do you do is there a pushback among the bidders that they'd like to touch and feel the asset that they have purchased? And how do you satisfy that urge?
Well, it's interesting. Of course, it's an issue to some. But when you own a share in IBM, which is a form of fractionalization, do you go out and touch your shares? Probably not. If you have a real estate transaction, an office building going through this process at aShareX, can you go out and touch the building? Yes. If it's a Picasso painting, it's going to be stored. 80% of all art is stored in an art warehouse. Interestingly enough, why? Because it's fire suppression, high security, so you know where it is. We will do that with artworks or other collectibles, and we will then, if there's an exhibition, ship it out because that's value increasing to share that art in a museum or a major exhibition. One auction we did was 8 artists, primary art, from 6 artists as a single lot. It was like being a venture capital investor in artworks. Now, we did something never before done in the United States, I'm told. We gave a digital image of the artwork to each fractional bidder winner. So that meant they could put it on their TV, they could put it on their telephone, they could put it on their computer, and if they wanted, they could print it off for personal use only and hang it on their wall in a really classy execution.
What was the response?
People thought it was pretty neat.
So you came up with the idea for Answer Financial, which was the first of its kind, a platform for all insurance companies to put their auto and home insurance, and people could compare and contrast and buy their insurance on Answer Financial platform. It's still around today and it's still the largest, but there were a lot of ups and downs. How do you tell us a little bit about the downside of these big ideas?
Answer Financial said, let's give people for the first time ever the ability to compare insurance policies head to head. And battered and bruised after a lot of hard work, enormous technology, Answer became the largest seller of auto and home insurance in the United States as a non-carrier. Now, God bless Allstate, they own it today, and it still exists, as you noted. With aShareX, I said, why should these assets be limited to the uber, ultra billionaires? Let's make it more of a level playing field. Why do billionaires invest in this stuff? Yes, they have the pleasure of owning whatever it is, but it's, for example, 40% of all purchasers of art, as an example, admit that they like the investment aspects of it. And it's been a good investment. So wanted to make that more available. That's number one. Number two, having grown up in the securities business at a major securities firm, most of the structures that are offered to investors can be improved upon with what I've described aShareX does. That was also a real firecracker to me. Whether it's real estate, we can offer a lot in that space. We've been approached by a guy, it's a huge player in the royalty business. I was on the phone this morning with a guy that wants to do carbon credits, where he thinks what we're offering gives an investor a better opportunity. That was the ultimate appeal. We're using art, Tracy, and collectibles in general, if you will, as the proof case for what we're doing. It's a good business unto itself, but it's really proving that all this stuff works.
Thank you so much. So appreciate it. And we'll talk soon. Thanks again.
Over and out. Thank you.